birds were tweeting and the sun sparkled. The pups had already watered the flowers, pulled the weeds, and chased dandelion down across the lawn. The sound of the happy birds inspired Dilly. She asked if she could have my permission to make a birdhouse, and I was thrilled. I knew the birds would be, too. Dilly told me it would be beautiful. She would paint it bright red so the birds wouldn't miss it. Dilly found some wood and some glue and sat down and started to figure out how she would build the birdhouse. It was about this time that Smudge breezed over to see what she was up to, and when he found out she was building a birdhouse, he became very interested. He thought it was a fabulous idea. At first he helped her. He held the wood for Dilly and glued a piece together for her. Then he got carried away a bit, and he told Dilly she was doing it all wrong, and that it should be done more his way. Then he moved her pieces of wood around, and Dilly raised her hand to complain, but at that very moment, the alarm rang. Everything was left right where it was, including a half-built birdhouse lying in the grass. The pups raced for me as quick as 8 feet could leave the ground and jump up. We were off. It wasn't hard to find the emergency Smithsonian squirrel had attracted quite a crowd. He was wedged halfway in and halfway out of the hole that led to his 10-story apartment complex. It was built in an old tree. Boswald, Ophelia, and Montpellier were standing below, wondering what to do. The pups raced over and raised a ladder at the entrance to the hole. Dilly tried to pull him out. Farrah tried to poke him back in. And Tanker and Smudge tried to turn him and get him out from a different angle. Nothing worked. Smithsonian was very upset. Then Farrah thought of something. She thought maybe Smithsonian could exhale all of his breath, and if he did, he could make himself small enough to get through the hole. To show Smithsonian what she meant, Farrah exhaled all of her breath and sucked in her tummy and held it. Now, I have to say that Boswald, Ophelia, and Montpellier all burst out laughing, but Farrah encouraged Smithsonian to try anyway. Smithsonian huffed and blew and then sucked in his stomach as far as he could. He teetered there, and then he fell right out. Luckily, Ophelia, who was right below him, stuck out one of her arms and caught him in midair. The pups and I were very proud of Farrah. She was a little annoyed at her 3 friends for laughing at her. I did whisper that sometimes people don't respect other ideas until they're proven right. At that moment, Boswald, Ophelia, and Montpellier cheered for Farrah and her great idea. Farrah smiled. Smithsonian gave her a big kiss. It tickled Farrah's cheek, and it made her giggle. On the way home, Dilly told everyone that she was going to paint her birdhouse bright red. Smudge thought that maybe orange would be better. Dilly looked at him. She didn't agree, but she said nothing. When we got home, Dilly went right back to working on her birdhouse. Smudge saw her and told her that she was doing it all wrong. He said that birds like their houses tall and thin instead of short and fat. I could see that Dilly was slowly but surely getting awfully tired of Smudge's interference. I rolled over and asked Smudge if he could give me a hand checking my gauges. He jumped up right away and came with me. When he was finished, he took off to do something else. I must say I didn't notice where he'd gone. I went on to exercising my axle. Dilly shot across the yard and showed me her birdhouse masterpiece. It was beautiful. Now, all it needed was a coat of paint. She raced off to get the paint and paintbrush. I have to admit that all my exercising had worn me out, so I took a little snooze. I woke up to see an orange birdhouse. All I could hear was, "Smudge!" As Dilly stood there shouting, she had a can of red paint with a clean paintbrush in her hand. Smudge popped around the corner smiling. He knew Dilly would love her orange birdhouse when she saw how beautiful it was. Dilly was trying not to cry. After all, it was her birdhouse, and Smudge had ruined it. I asked Smudge to sit in my bumper for a minute. Smudge told me that he'd only wanted to help, but Dilly didn't appreciate his hard work, and I explained to him that it was Dilly's plan to have a bright red birdhouse. I also pointed out that it was Dilly's birdhouse in the first place. That meant it was her decision to paint it, whatever color she wanted. Smudge looked at me. I think he was disappointed in himself. In the excitement of building a birdhouse, he forgot about Dilly's feelings. Then Dilly did a wonderful thing. She told him that she was sure if he made an orange birdhouse, it would be wonderful, that birds would fly from all over the place to live in it. But this one was hers, and she wanted it red. She thought for a minute, and she told Smudge that the tree was probably big enough for 2 birdhouses, and he should make one of his very own. Smudge didn't say anything for a moment. Then he jumped up my bumper, gave Dilly a great big smooch, and said he was really sorry. Next time he would try to do a better job of letting her do things her own way. And then he pointed to the tree and he said he agreed with her idea that the tree could use another birdhouse, and he spun off to get started on his. I have to tell you that to this very day, an orange and a red birdhouse hang together in the front tree. Smudge learned that everybody has their own way of doing things. Maybe it's because we all do things differently that makes life with you so very exciting.
Here's some things that are fun to do. Fun for the friends who play with you. Fun for a bunch or just for 2. Fun for me and fun for you. Like dressing up. Find a funny hat or some wacky pants from your dress-up clothes. You can pretend you're someone else. It's a lot of fun if you make sure that there's enough clothes for everyone.